If you've spent any amount of time in the Paradox community, I can almost guarantee you've heard of the classic, "the first 1000 hours is the tutorial" joke from people. I unfortunately am one of those people who will make this reference once in a while. Heck, it even happened recently in a Reddit thread a few days back. This means that what you're about to hear should be taken entirely with a grain of salt. Much like my other rant videos, everything here is subjective. As ironic as it would be for what I'm about to talk about, I'm not going to lay out huge spreadsheets to show my work. It's about the feel for me, even if it gets a little too real at times. How often have you talked to friends who play video games and managed to bring up your favorite Paradox game? Do their eyes glaze over when you bring up the complexities of dealing with the big blue blob, or beelining technology and Unity to grab the planet cracker so you can keep the endgame running smoothly while you conquer the galaxy? Have you ever tried to actually lure some of them into your favorite Paradox game? Barring the obvious ones that already have a storied history of charm and marvel like City Skylines and maybe Magica. I'm willing to bet that they weren't particularly thrilled to be plopped down in front of 1,000 buttons in Europa Universalis 4 or Hearts of Iron 4. Paradox games have a unique feel to them, in that the player must absolutely be fully invested in them to actually be able to play it from the outset. Even simplified games like Victoria 3 still have an obscene amount of numbers working in the background. Even worse, there are a plethora of hidden mechanics that you'll likely need a doctorate to even notice, let alone understand. It's gotten to the point where I've actually started referring to Paradox games as flight simulators to people. Yes, there is plenty of enjoyment to be had actually getting that vehicle up and running in the skies, but you really have to know what you're doing to get it off of the ground in the first place. Tutorials are both rampant in-game and on YouTube, yet with constant updates around the clock, some of which are so game-changing like with Stellaris that it completely invalidates all prior tutorials. It makes it so that all prior knowledge is thrown out the window like a baby with the bathwater. It all gets a little overwhelming. It's honestly not easy being a fan of Paradox games. You really have to have the right mindset to even enjoy their games in the first place. Maybe that's why I love Crusader Kings 3 so much. It's the one true exception to the rule, the one game that even my looter shooter friends can play and find enjoyment in, even if it's just fulfilling some sadistic wishes similar to taking out the pool ladder in The Sims. Don't get me wrong, I'm not asking for Paradox to streamline their games. I'm definitely not asking them to stop making massive updates that completely change their games. However, I do have no choice but to point out that they limit their potential growth by ignoring new player experiences. When I play my personal favorite game, Victoria 3, I will do my absolute best to look at it from the perspective of somebody who is brand new to the genre and not just the game. The flowchart goes a little something like, I built something, I'm losing money now, my country is dying, this game is stupid. The game itself assumes that you are already a well-versed veteran of Paradox games. It gets even worse when you actually deign to try the so-called tutorial, which hilariously enough has only been completed by 3.5% of the player base. Probably because it actually requires you to play through a whole game of Victoria 3 to complete. Not to mention the journal entries they request you to do will topple your economy if you don't already know how to avoid doing so. The so-called tutorial offers pop-up boxes and journal entries as ways to teach players. This is, by far, the absolute worst way to teach anyone anything. I'm sure you would all love to read a textbook every time you started up a game, right? Old heads like me need to understand this sort of thing only worked in the past with those gigantic 90s game manuals because we didn't have smartphones to take into the bathroom, and Mom wisely threw out all of the Sears catalogs because bathroom trips would then take 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you outright, Paradox, tutorials like this are a waste of your developer's time. I'm going to go out on a limb here to state that I highly doubt anybody actually learns anything from these. Likewise, the ones from Imperator Rome taught me nothing and I had to learn everything from Googling, why can't I make more people, whenever I couldn't grow my states. It's gotten to the point where I'm beginning to think that instead of an in-game tutorial, you could just create an in-game browser that brings up the wiki, or even a built-in video player for YouTube tutorials, or other shenanigans. Of course, I'm going to have to digress from this tangent. Back to the original point, my friends still play Crusader Kings 3 to this day. It's been a few years since they first tried it, so it definitely has its staying power. It is in fact the only grand strategy game they've ever bothered to play, simply because that ridiculous early game experience was just so genuinely fun for them. I'm hoping it'll be a stepping stone towards more complex games in the future, but again, I don't expect that much because none of the other games have anything to hook them with. The slow burn of every other Paradox game, excluding maybe Stellaris and Crusader Kings 3, coupled with the intense complexity involved in Hearts of Iron and Europa Universalis, hurts most average players. There is absolutely nothing fun front-loaded in these games, no gratification from doing an action that will result in any semblance of joy for a new player, because everything requires a chain of actions to get a tangible result. Stellaris, for instance, gives you a sense of discovery thanks to its 4x roots. The anomalies, while being a load of text on their own, are at least interesting and well written enough to capture people's imaginations and will drive them to look for more. Crusader Kings 3 is just wacky, and, much like The Sims, you could turn the game into anything as ridiculous as your little old heart desires. Do you want to be a disfigured giant who successfully woos everybody? Go for it. It's hilarious and it's fun. Then once more we come back to Victoria 3. Here, you build something, you get 0 feedback when it's completed, and then you build something else. Suddenly, your country is broken, you have absolutely no idea why. That just doesn't offer the same early game experience, does it? The occasional events that happen do offer some pull, but the pop-up nature of them is jarring to new players, especially since they didn't do anything to make those events happen. Instead, it's happening to them. At the end of the day, it all comes back to agency. We're playing a game here. We're not watching a movie or reading a graphic novel. We want our actions to have direct consequences or rewards. We want those buildings that we've made to showcase what they actually do, even if it's just a temporary event pop-up that veterans of Paradox games will disable after seeing it a few times. We want tangible suggestions from the developer team so we can accept or ignore them, and we want to see the outcome of those choices right away. More importantly, we want to be rewarded with something. In Victoria 3, there is nothing. There is absolutely 0 feedback for doing what is considered to be a primary action in the game, building. Actual feedback for what you've created is instead well hidden behind a few clicks of the mouse, which require you to actively know where to click to find the information that will give you even the slightest dopamine hit. It's not just Victoria 3 though. It's been a problem with every single Europa Universalis game and every single Hearts of Iron game, not to mention every single earlier Victoria game. They all suffer from this. I just think it's frustrating trying to get people who are just so close to being grand strategy fans to actually play long enough to become fans. They clearly enjoy the genre, and some of them are exceptionally good at Crusader Kings 3 now, yet they sneer at the sight of Europa Universalis 4 and call it too boring before they go on to conquer all of the United Kingdom again for the 50th time with a 10,000 soldier doomstack. It's pretty clear to me that the love is there, but the desire to grab a shovel to dig for the fun is not. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my TED Talk. I hope you're still enjoying playing your favorite Paradox games in spite of it, and always remember, Hail Hydra Cat.